Welcome to Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. In the next half hour, you'll obtain insights and tools to transform your life using the biblical principles found in the 12-step program. We believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience because we all have struggles in life. Struggles with addictions, food, depression, anxiety, and relationships, to name a few. You'll be encouraged to see how others have found a new way of life with hope for the future through life recovery. Your host is Steve Arterburn, founder of New Life Ministries and Women of Faith, author of over 100 books, and teaching pastor at Northview Church in Carmel, Indiana, one of the 20 largest churches in America. Steve is the co-editor of the Life Recovery Bible, the #1 selling recovery Bible. With over 3 million copies sold, this is the Bible given to inmates by Prison Fellowship and the Pew Bible for the Salvation Army. Now here's Steve.
Hi there. Welcome to Life Recovery Today. Steve Arterburn here. And today we're going to talk about something that I think doesn't get enough attention. Otherwise, well, maybe if it got more attention, so many people wouldn't be doing it and getting involved with it. I'm talking about relapse. I mean, that's the whole thing here. Relapse. How do we prevent it? How do we recognize it? And where does it come from? Well, you know, it really begins in the beginning. We're going to talk about this with Becky Brown. It begins with dishonesty. When I wrote Healing is a Choice, I was really writing about one of the concepts in the 12 steps of doing a searching, fearless, moral inventory of yourself. Let me read you a couple of verses here. It says, "Keep me from deceitful ways. Be gracious to me through your law." I mean, that's the psalmist writing this. And so we just have a nature that kind of tilts toward being deceitful. It's part of who everybody is. And you have to deal with it so that you're increasing the percentage of time that you're absolutely truthful. Especially if recovery is an honesty program, then dishonesty can't be part of true recovery. Listen to this, 2 Corinthians 13:5. "Examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves. Do you not realize that Christ is in you, unless, of course, you fail the test?" Now, this is one of the most disturbing things ever. We talk about the need to integrate sexuality into a whole human being. Don't have this private, horrible little thing over here, but the rest looks like this. Well, a lot of times people don't integrate spirituality, or they don't integrate their faith into a whole human being. And so we hear about the pastor that's preaching on Sunday about love and care, and then we hear that he is so abusive to his wife or to the kids. Well, there's a problem there. So we need to be sure that we're looking at ourselves, and sometimes we need to look back at how we got here. What's the pattern? When did it all start? Of course, the big lie that people tell us is it doesn't do any good to look back. We've got to move on. Well, you know, I don't think we should dig up stuff from the past, but if it's hurting you in the present, now that's not the past, is it? So we're going to talk about relapse and all the things that prevent it, show it. Maybe we can help somebody. Maybe we can help you if you're just about to get into one unhealthy cycling of relapse recovery, and recovery. We don't want that for you.
Are you going through your struggles alone? Do you want someone to talk to help you through your pain? Do you feel like a failure when you relapse again, telling yourself, next time will be different? Don't walk this path alone anymore. Join a life recovery group today and be a person that your friends and family can be proud of. God created us to be in community, and we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country, and if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. Life Recovery brings recovery to you, right where you are. You'll take a journey with others to find healing and freedom. Whether you're looking to join a group or start one, New Life Ministries is here for you. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit liferecoverytoday.net.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. Becky Brown has been with me many times and on this program, and we've worked together for about 20 years. And Becky, we've seen a lot of people relapse. I mean, it is so tragic. And we were just talking about a situation where they had a great year, the couple is doing well, but really it was all on the surface, and there was secrecy and there was dishonesty. And then we were on New Life Live yesterday, and there was a woman who, I believe she was sober 5 years, and on the 5th anniversary, and this is so common, she goes out and gets drunk after 5 years of recovery.
Yeah, when we do our workshops, I know, Steve, you talk early on in the weekend about relapse prevention, which usually throws a question to people. It's like, I don't need to know about prevention, I need to know how to fix it. And I think when we talk about relapse prevention, it brings an awareness to what is needed in recovery.
Yeah.
It is not a one and done. It's not, okay, I've stopped doing this and I'll never have to think about it again.
Yeah.
It's literally an awareness of where are my soft spots, where am I weak, and where do I need to gain strength.
And I want to go through some of those things that I present in that talk. And let me tell you, here's why I do it at the beginning. Because see, I'm making the case that you're in relapse. If you're in treatment or in a workshop or whatever, most likely you're not just there for somebody else, even though that might be why you say you're there. But you're in relapse if you are experiencing these kinds of things. So let's start with the first one. It is
complacency.
When we get complacent, I think that is kind of lying to yourself. And you're starting to say, I'm not going to go to that meeting because this other thing over here has become more important. Or I don't really need to go so much. Now here, everything's been going great, and you're thinking, well, the answer going forward is to do less than I'm doing now. It's very similar to a person who has a bipolar problem. They get the right medication, but they so miss the manic phase or that high energy time, they quit taking the meds.
And the underlying message is, I don't have any needs. If I'm complacent, I don't have a need. I don't need to go to a meeting. I don't need to, do the things that had been helping me all along. And that's the biggest challenge. Our relapse begins the minute we don't recognize that we have a need.
So, Becky, how would you define a delusion or a person who's living a delusional life or in delusion? How would you clarify that?
Well, I think it's where we think that we know what our issue is, but we really have no idea. You think you know, but you have no idea. And those of us who do know, we see it, and you don't allow them to speak into your life. No, I'm good. I've heard so many times over the years where someone who is struggling with sexual integrity, and he will say, well, what do I need to do to fix this? And you'll say, well, the first step would be go to Every Man's Better Workshop or go see a counselor, get this started. And they're like, well, I'll just stop the activity, whatever it is, whether it's watching porn or an affair, I'll just stop it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not fixing anything.
No, it doesn't. No. Well, here's the other thing. If somebody says to you, well, you've got this problem, your first reaction might be, hey, I'm not stupid. So if I've got a problem, I'm going to... No, you're not stupid. You're delusional because you don't see it. And you're not allowing someone to help you see what you don't see. So it's not a matter of IQ deficit. It's a matter of you have a problem that is so severe, and you have created a system whereby you don't allow anybody to tell you the truth, and you live in a delusion that I've got it under control, it's going to be okay, this is the way life needs to go. Now let me tell you, Michael Jackson's dead today because he created a system where he could live in this delusional world that it's okay to sleep under the influence of the same stuff the propanol that they use in surgery. Elvis Presley, he died because he took so much medication with codeine in it, which constipates you. Elvis Presley died going to the bathroom, and he had a heart attack straining over constipation. Now there you have it. Here is this person who is admired by everybody, and that's how he dies, because here's what they said. If you weren't part of the team, if you didn't go along with whatever, then you were done.
And so many people live in a delusional state, and they find the crowd to support that. What we need to do is inspect our life, search. What is out of order? But sometimes we get into a thought process, that delusion, so far in, we're convinced that this is all okay. Yeah. And it's such a tragedy.
Well, I think I've talked about this frequently. One of the best things I ever did was that time when I asked the people that were around me. I had, everybody come into the boardroom, and I said, I want to go to the next level. I don't want to now, but I did back then. Okay. But anyway, I said, I want you to, if you wouldn't mind, just spend some time talking about the 3 biggest problems I have, and just so I can hear them, also give me the 3 pluses.
Yes. And
so, just to make a very long story short, I came back in, and they said, well, you're just one of the most creative and amazing people that can figure things out. But in the process, you get so busy, you lose touch with people, and you can become critical of people that just aren't going at the same pace as you. Mm. And I thought, who are you to be telling me
exactly.
I'm critical? But I did listen. I heard the good stuff, and I heard the crummy stuff, and it really did change me. And I have a lot of tolerance for people that are making mistakes, mm-hmm. and giving them another chance. And I don't want people to be let go from an organization. So what I'm saying is, try it. It really could be amazing if you said to some people, hey, tell me the truth about myself. Mm-hmm. Now, I work in counseling. I am open to the truth, and I realize there's so much that I'm blind to. Mm-hmm. Everybody has blind spots.
Exactly. And that's really the freeing statement, though. Yeah. If you recognize that you have blind spots, you will look for the places that you're blind. The other part of that is that when you're not aware that you have a problem, mm-hmm. just ask somebody that's close to you. They might point it out.
Yeah, that's right. So when we talk about dishonesty, we're also talking about delusion, where you don't even know, and we're talking about self-deception. You're not just trying to fool somebody else, right. But there's some wound that you protect yourself from, and so you deceive yourself because somewhere in there's this force that's saying you can't handle the truth.
That's right.
And so you just don't.
So the next step in relapse is confusion.
Yeah.
And that goes right along with what we're talking about. And, that's where you come up with the great excuses. And, we always talk about St. Francis of Assisi,
We'll tell that story. Well, I tell you what, let's go to a break and then tell that story, because I really do think it illustrates what we're talking about. So far, we've talked about this issue of complacency and dishonesty. And if you're in that place, well, we've all been there. But here's the thing. Millions of people have taken a step out of that place. And I believe that's the first step in recovery. Well, it's just saying, look, I see this. I can't do it. First step right there. I'm now looking at the reality of my life, and I cannot fix this. I've tried it many times. I'm going to have to do something different. Now, that's really a great step of clarity and honesty. And when we move away from that, we are headed, or we're really already in the process of relapse. So we'll talk about confusion right after this.
It's hard to find a trusted friend when you're in crisis. Someone who's been there and understands, but who also has the training and skill to give you practical help. Family, friends, and churches want to help, but often they're not equipped to care for those dealing with problems like addiction and pornography, infidelity, anger, depression. New Life Ministries is here to provide help and hope in life's hardest places. We're not focused on making people feel better. We're focused on helping people do the work that will help them be better. At New Life, we have resources available to help you, like books, DVDs, CDs, workshops, and our network of licensed counselors. If you need help, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and begin your new life today.
Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for joining me. Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. Becky Brown and I have been talking about relapse. And where we left off, we talked about dishonesty, delusion, and then we talked about this next phase, which is confusion, where we're starting to, we are confused. We don't see reality. We don't know who we are, what our problem is, and we start, rather than taking action, we start making excuses.
That's right. And we met a woman years ago at one of our workshops at Lose It for Life, and she was giving you all of her excuses. I've tried this, it doesn't work. And, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And her name was Frances, and you looked at her name tag and said, I think your name is St. Francis of Excusey. And I'm like, oh, my word.
And I did it with a smile.
Yes, you did.
And it began a process. It was the thing that kind of broke through, and it was healthy, even though it sounds like it was really insulting. But everybody was there to get better.
And it's a great concept. What excuses are we using?
Yeah.
And that's where that confusion, we can swirl in the confusion.
Yeah, and I think a big part of the confusion is that everybody's got a problem but me. Now, you couldn't get more confused than that, but it happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And one of the workshops that we were at, I can honestly tell you, I remember this as if it was yesterday, and it's probably 20 years ago. But a woman, we're all there to get help, and these workshops are powerful. Mm-hmm. She left because of a mold spore in the carpet.
Yeah,
she could not stay because of mold spores. Now look, I have been detoxified for mold. It's an issue.
Right.
I look for it everywhere.
Right.
But I could never, ever, realistically, honestly, say that's a reason to leave a workshop.
It is it's the perfect excuse. I mean, when you think about the concept of excuse, it's how to get out of something that you really need to take some responsibility for.
Right. So in the first part of relapse, there's complacency, then there's confusion. It's really interesting when a person who's been in recovery, they think they're horrible and everybody's going to reject them, shame and all that. They go to a meeting and they find, oh my goodness, these are my people. Mm-hmm. Just the opposite of that happens in this state of confusion. It's, I don't really relate to those people. You start thinking, well, they're not really like me. Mm-hmm. And no, they're going to the meeting and you're not.
Exactly.
So that confusion, it can really be so multifaceted that you really can kind of convince yourself in it. Mm-hmm. I don't have the big problem. I don't need the stuff that I need. And the path forward that I was on probably wasn't the best path anyway.
Right. That's right.
It reminds me of when people say to me, I don't really like the 12 steps. And I say, really? Well, what steps do you like? How many are there?
Exactly.
And what are they?
That's right.
Because it's easy to be against something in our confusion, but it's very difficult to have an alternative that's better. That's why I tell people, until you find something better, just do these 12 steps.
That's right.
And you'll probably never find something better.
So the next path along relapse, it takes us to compromise.
Right.
And so when we talk about working the steps, there are folks that will not do the program. What are the 4 absolutes in the 12 steps? And absolute honesty, absolute integrity,
absolute purity,
absolute
truth.
Right. So it's just a lifestyle of no compromise.
All right.
And that brings you freedom. Talk more about that.
So, talking about a situation where a couple comes together, they're having this great year. Oh, but once a year for the past 20 years, he's had lunch with a person. And
that's not his wife.
It's not his wife. So now you had this great year, and here comes that annual lunch with this person that your wife doesn't want you to have any contact with. So there's the compromise. Okay, I go ahead, I do this one little thing, and I try to cover it up. And that whole year just feels like it was a sham. When it really wasn't. There was really something good there. So we need to be sure that if I go into recovery and I'm doing these things, that 6 months later I'm doing really risky things, scary things, things I did when I was in the depths of my problem, whatever it is, even in the depths of depression, you could say. So if you go from confusion to compromise, you are really, really close to a disastrous situation. And so we'll talk about this fourth thing here in a second. But I think the goal of what we do is try to get people to not go, oh no, he relapsed, he had another affair, or oh no, he relapsed, he drank again or took the pills. No, what we want people to do is, hey, he relapsed again, he quit going to the meetings. That's where we want to do it there. Or he relapsed because he quit going to meetings, and now he's really confused about, he thinks I'm the bigger problem now, and we went for a whole year thinking I wasn't such a big problem. And then the compromise. When the compromise happens, boy, that's when we really want to step up our intervention and say, he is doing the most, or she, most unhealthy, scary things. We got to stop it.
Well, and in that mindset of compromise, if we just shut people out, there is no hope for recovery. We're just, it's all or nothing in the wrong way. It's not in a hope-free filled, free life. It is literally, we're going to judge you as opposed to come alongside you, because I could be in that same place.
The fourth
is consumption.
You're
out of control.
You could say the catastrophe. You could be just sticking with C's. Consumption. Boy, it's not good. And it just is so predictable when you see somebody veer off of the path that they've established. And it's exact opposite of what I see when people say, yeah, 20 years ago, I surrendered. And I got on this recovery path. I've been going to meetings, working the steps, and it's just so consistent with them. They're wise, they're deep, they really have some meaningful relationships.
I think the story that you tell about quitting smoking illustrates that perfectly.
I did smoke, and I quit many, like Mark Twain, quit 200 times, but I would always start again in the presence of another smoker. And I would start by, I can still hear it now, they were in cellophane packages, and I would start to hear that crinkle, and pretty soon I was pulling one out and having it in my hand, and before you knew it, I was right back there. So I said, you know what, just making a decision to quit smoking isn't enough, and having a year without smoking isn't enough. So I made 3 commitments. Number 1, I will never touch a package of cigarettes again. So I didn't quit smoking, I quit touching packages of cigarettes. One time a man was in my car, he got out, I didn't see this till later, but a pack of cigarettes falls out of his pocket. I go when I find them, go into the house, get ice tongs, and carry them to the trash, because I had made a commitment. I would never touch a pack of cigarettes. I also made the commitment that I would never, ever hold a cigarette in my hand. Would not. And the third was that I would never have a cigarette on these lips. So if I got to the package stage, I knew I was in trouble, or the holding the single cigarette. And you can't smoke unless you put it up on your lips there.
Right.
Or if you don't take it out of the package. So that really was the end of it. So there is this thing in recovery called protection. I need to protect myself. And if you're in relapse in any of these things we're talking about, maybe it's time to get out of it and implement a protection plan that's going to work for you. Anything else you want to say about relapse?
I think that whole concept of just what you just explained about the cigarettes applies to everything. You know, we talked to people who have struggled with pornography, and there has been a ritual.
Yeah.
You know, they might open a couple of tabs on their computer, and and it's already kicking in. So we have to change everything.
We really do. Yeah. And one of the big things that we need to change is to have somebody that's safe and available to share whatever it is we're struggling with. And that takes a lot of the power out of it. That was Dave Stoop for me. And his loss, he was an irreplaceable person. But I am looking for someone to replace him. So give me a call if it's you. We'll be back right after this.
Life recovery isn't just about making the courageous choice to give up an addiction or dependency. It's a journey towards health, wholeness, and becoming your very best you. If you need resources to help you in your journey, we can help. There are many life recovery resources that you can do on your own, with a group, or with your church. We have Bibles, workbooks, and devotionals that you can use to work your recovery right where you are. That's the beauty of life recovery. To learn more or to get the Life Recovery Bible or any other life recovery resource, visit liferecoverytoday.net or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. If you are in relapse or you are living with somebody that's in relapse, you know, really, we're in an imperfect world. Ever since Adam and Eve, failure is part of the plan. I mean, you're just going to mess up. It's a fallen world. We're imperfect people. But what is it that God really has for us when we stop relapsing? How about this? What God really wants isn't a relapsing life. He wants a repurposed life. He wants to take this person you are and what you've learned and experienced in recovery and repurpose you to reach people in ways you never ever dreamed. If you want help with that, you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. We hope this program has helped you integrate God's truth and wisdom into your recovery journey. This program is brought to you by New Life Ministries, and it's your support that keeps this program on the air. When you contact us for any reason, be sure to let us know that you watch on NRB. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to liferecoverytoday.net. Please join us again next week for more Life Recovery Today.